Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you here, each of you on behalf of Oeconomus Economic Research Foundation. My name is Anton Benderzewski, Director of the Foundation. Today on this conference, for the opening speech, it should have been opened by my colleague, Peter Turczi, the President of the Board, but unfortunately he's ill. We just came back together from Warsaw, and it was a bit cold, and he's not feeling well, so on his behalf, I would like also to welcome you here. I don't know how long speech Peter was preparing. I'll be short, I promise. On the other hand, normally after such introductions, the speakers start an hour-long speech with long sentences and complicated conclusions, hopefully not today. Well, first of all, let me start with a short introduction of our organization, Oeconomus, then I will continue on the purpose of this conference, and I will close by welcoming our partners. So, Oeconomus Economic Research Foundation, I hope many of you sitting here in this room already heard about our foundation in the last 5 years since the foundation is operating. We are focusing on economic and geopolitical areas. We are working on analytical papers, research, in-depth publications, debates, conferences. We're publishing books, videos, and now we are even starting creating podcasts. So this is all thanks to the work of our dedicated team. And at the core of our mission lies the commitment to not only identify challenges, but also to present viable responses and anticipate their outcomes. Well, second, the conference itself. The title of the conference, Exploring the Economic and Energy Challenges in the Times of War and Global Turbulence. Well, I'm not an economist, neither an expert in energy field. My main area of research is in the post-Soviet region and the geopolitics and security of the region. But what can I tell you? That the title is not misleading. The war is really here at our borders, and yes, with the current period comes the global turbulence, and things might get even worse. The global pandemic made a big impact on our economies, not just here in Central Europe, but on every part of the world. And by disturbing global supply chains and affected the global trade on a huge scale. With the war in Ukraine, this negative trend just continued. Here in Hungary, we believe that our country is standing on stable basis, and in general, we are resistant to the crisis. We have successfully battled the increasing inflation last year and managed to get it under 3.6% in February. And we do hope that this year we will see potential economic growth. Energy is another important topic. Hungary is a landlocked country. We are very much reliant, unfortunately, on Russian energy, which is needed to operate our automotive sector and other industries operating in Hungary. We are facing big challenge connected to energy dependency, energy security, and diversification. Currently, the European countries are heavily reliant on traditional fossil fuels, but we are in process of transforming to cleaner, more sustainable energy sources while ensuring the security and affordability of supply. Stability and affordability of the energy is a must in order to not cripple our economies. And transitioning towards renewable energy sources presents both an opportunity and a challenge, requiring strategic investments, innovative technologies, and robust policy frameworks. Well, and my last point, our partners. We are very happy that we could organize this event with our partners, Warsaw School of Economics and Economic Forum. This is the team responsible for the organization of the Carpats Forum. You might have heard of it, former Krynica Forum, one of the biggest economic events in Poland. But they will tell about their work in just a minute. Well, our partners will present their 2023 report they were working on last year, some parts of it. And then we'll have 2 panel discussions on economy of Central Europe, the effect of the war and the global pandemic, and another panel about energy security and the challenges presented by the energy. Well, in the last 2 years since the Russian aggression in Ukraine, unfortunately the Hungarian-Polish relations were not on their highest level. We shouldn't let that happen, since the war and these turbulent times present a huge economic and security threat for our countries, and which we can overcome only together as region, as Visegrad Group, and as Central Europe. I hope this event will also help building and improving these relations. So without further ado, I wish to extend my sincerest hopes for a fruitful and enlightening discussion throughout the conference. May our exchanges be rich with insights, our debates be constructive, and our collaborations be transformative. Thank you very much. And I would like to ask Michal to make his opening remarks.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I would like to just say a few things about us. So the Foundation Institute for International Studies. We are a foundation based in Warsaw, but operate generally outside of Warsaw in Karpacz and Mikołajki, where we organize our main events. Okay, so I hope that it will be okay. Oh, yeah. So here we are. A few words about us. As I said, based in Warsaw Foundation in 1992. Since 1992, we are organizing the biggest social, political, economic conferences in Central Eastern Europe. The most influenced politicians are participated, and business and scientists participate during the year our events. Why it's not working? Okay, yeah. This is our mission. So, as I said, our chairman, Zygmunt Berdychowski, who is the founder of the Economic Forum, he said that we would try to connect West and East. This is why we named a foundation for Eastern Studies, because at the beginning, in 1990s, we tried to connect the West world especially with the Ukrainians, Belarusians, and at that time Russians, where they were the majority of the participators of our conferences. And generally create a platform of dialogue. And today we are the platform of dialogue. Yes? So if you are representing the business, or if you are representing the university or NGOs, or you are a politician, you can come to us. You can come to Karpacz or to Mikołajki, where there is more focus on local issues. But in Karpacz we have a broad sector focus, so from energy to security and social and economic issues. You can join us and talk about nowadays problems. Okay. Yeah, and this year edition, it will be held between 3rd to 5th September in Karpacz. It is a fantastic venue, like 2 hours from Wrocław city, which is the 3rd biggest city in Poland. So you can take your direct flight to Wrocław, and then we will organize the transfer from Wrocław to Karpacz and back. It is always the first week of the September. It takes 3 days. During these 3 days, we organize over 400 debates. Our main knowledge partner is, of course, Warsaw School of Economics, which they support with their knowledge, with their expertise, with the scientists, experts, and, of course, a report of Warsaw School of Economics, but few words about it they will tell in just after me. And here is the numbers, yes. So as it comes to statistics, we are in fact the biggest conference in Poland and one of the biggest in Central Eastern Europe. Last year it was record-breaking even for 6,000 guests. Including 2,000 speakers representing 50 countries, not only European countries, but of course, like for example, from United States of America. And we have over 500 journalists. Here is our most important guests, including prime ministers, deputy prime ministers, presidents, head of the biggest companies. As you can see, the former president of Poland and president of Poland now, Andrzej Duda, and the other prime ministers. Also, every year we give a reward the man of the year, the person of the year, for the significant efforts, for economic, political point of view. This is the venue, as I said a few words before. There is a huge Hotel Gołębiewski. It is the network of the hotel in Poland. We have 6 of them. We signed agreement with Hotel Gołębiewski, and this is the biggest one now. 25 rooms, 20 pavilions. It has to be big, yes, to connect to put inside 6,000 guests. Here it is how it looked like. As I said, mountains, Carpathian. So yes, plenary sessions, of course, during this 400 debates. We organize also 5 to 6 plenary sessions. So most important session with most important speakers of the conference. Our partner, as I said, yes, main knowledge partner, Warsaw School of Economics, and institutional partners. This is why we also collaborate with Oeconomus Economic Research Foundation, because this is one of our core of our work. Yes, without our institutional partners, which are over 200, we cannot do the event for 6,000 guests and 400 discussion panels. Yes, so it is also a great opportunity for all of you, if you'd like to become our partner, to co-organize with us the discussion, the debate, invite some interesting expert speakers. You can do it with us. You can put your logo on the program and promote yourself by our event. And I think that's all. I don't want to make it longer, because still my colleagues from Warsaw School of Economics waiting, and the debate is waiting. So thank you very much, and please join the Economic Forum this year. Yeah. Please, my colleagues from Warsaw School of Economics, please join the stage. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marta. I'm an associate at SGH Warsaw School of Economics and our Entrepreneurship and Business Center. And now I'll present you our university and how our university is at Karpacz. You can see our building, our beautiful building. SGH Warsaw School of Economics is the oldest and the best economic university in Poland. It was set up in 1906. And it was developing throughout the years. So basically, what is the best at our university is our academic lecturers. As you will see later, our academic staff that are our panelists are lecturers with business experience. A lot of our lecturers not only work at our university, but also at the government or with our business partners. So the knowledge they are sharing with us is very practical and professional. Also, we have an active student community. I don't know how it's in Hungary, but here in Poland, our students are very active. They are young entrepreneurs, they are young leaders. Our motto is SGH shapes leaders, and later you can see why it's the truth. Also, SGH alumni earn top. Oh, okay, so maybe we can go to previous slide. Okay, SGH alumni earn top salaries in Poland. We have a ranking, and the ranking shows that SGH alumni are earning the highest salaries in Poland in their field of studies. Also, we have high ranking positions. As I said, at the ranking in Poland, we are on the top at the economic universities. Also, we are a part of Civica European, and we have a lot of accreditation that are known worldwide. For example, EKIS accreditation, AMBA accreditation. Also, we're in the process of gaining AECSB accreditation. So in some years, we'll have 3 biggest accreditations worldwide. And now I can tell you about SGH at the Economic Forum. And SGH is the main partner at the Economic Forum, as it was said previously. The Economic Forum starts with the presentation of the report, and the presentation is given by our rector that is sitting right here, and also with the president of the institute. Our report, our SGH and Economic Forum report, is one of the most important publications about economics in Poland and CEE region, because it's focusing not only on Poland economy, but also in our region. The methodology behind the report is that we have 12 topics, each about the most important way or path that is currently important. For example, the impact of COVID-19 on inflation, on energy, on security, on medical services, on aging population. And one additional chapter that is patron of the CE investment report from our partner. The team is also very big. We have 66 authors, 4-member editorial committee, 12 reviewers, and dozens of supporting staff that helps us with translating and printing our report. Also, the report is in printed version and also in online version, and I strongly encourage you to go to our website to see the report. Here you can see the presentation of the report at the Economic Forum. Also, we have not only the report, but during the Economic Forum we have our own zone, SGH zone. In SGH zone we have around 50 meritorical events. More than 100 guests are attending these events, including top politicians from Poland, ministers, presidents of the largest companies. Mostly they are our alumni, and also experts and local government officials. Also, we have a lot of events that are moderated external from our zone. As I said, SGH shapes leaders, and you can see in the picture that SGH young leaders, young students are also moderating panels. It's like we have morning talks that are like similar to TED Talks, the motivational speech, why is it beneficial for you to be active in your local government, at your university, and also evening discussions that are the traditional panels but moderated by younger students. Here you can see some pictures from our evening discussions. This evening discussion was about rebuilding the Ukraine after the war. Also, we, as an SGH, Warsaw School of Economics, we conduct a panel that enables rectors from 5 economic universities to talk about the trends and the most important things in the economy. Also, we have like some kind of joy. We have the caricaturist that creates caricatures of our participants. We have chess zone. People from our university and also our guests can take part in chess plays. We have mini golf with SGH values, and evening of alumni and partners. So as you can see, the 3 days of Economic Forum are full with a lot of events. Also, we as SGH, Warsaw School of Economics, with the foundation, are conducting the Economic Award. It's an award for the person who is on the top with the economic trends. This year, we gave it to Czesław Lang. So basically, that's it. That's all of our activities during the Economic Forum. I strongly encourage you to go to our website to see our report that is conducted in English. And if you have any questions regarding to cooperation with our university, feel free to ask and we'll talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marta. And now we'll start our first panel about the economic challenges in the Central European region. And for that, I would like to ask my colleague, Szabolcs Pastor, the Research Director of Oeconomus, to introduce our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning for everyone. First, I come here and I will find a seat like our panelists also. If you don't mind, first of all, I'm turning to Piotr Maszczyk, and just a brief introduction. He's the Thank you. He's the Deputy Dean of Graduate Studies at the Warsaw School of Economics. Also, he's a head of the Macroeconomics and Public Economics Unit. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. The second one is Attila Kovács, also a dean. Dean of the Faculty of Business Communication and Tourism at the Budapest Metropolitan University. Also, he is a research director of EU Department at the Center for Fundamental Rights. Thank you for having with us. Thank you. Then I'm turning to Laurent István Szakály, Director of Strategy at Oeconomus Research Foundation. And former Deputy State Secretary at Ministry of Agriculture. And last but not least, I'm turning to Daniel Molnár, Senior Economic Analyst at Macronom Institute. Thank you so much. Now it is on. Well, our first panel is clustered around economic issues in short and in general. And we are going to digest the report and we are going to supplement the report made by our Polish colleagues. There will be a focus on Central and Eastern Europe, of course. We are Central and Eastern Europeans and we are capable of better understanding the trends and the trajectories here. Well, no surprise, I guess. The first question will be related to the economic performance of the Central and Eastern European countries. And I'm turning to our panelists and I ask, how would you describe the general preparedness of the Central and Eastern European region and the countries when it comes to the challenges of the 2020s? Our countries are very open to trade. And let me tell you that yesterday in the evening I was browsing the most recent statistics. And in Hungary, for example, when we add exports and imports and when we divide it by the GDP, we get almost 185%. Many other countries are also very open to trade. So we are not isolated from the external economic environment. So how would you describe the preparedness for external shocks?
Now it works? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. And I would like to congratulate the authors to the report. It's always good to have an exchange of views with Polish colleagues because it always strengthens the historically good relationships, no matter what are the points of discussion. Regarding the preparedness, for many years, and maybe still today, the Central and Eastern European region has been the engine, the vehicle, or one of the vehicles of economic growth in the European Union. if we simply, and it leads to the big question of introduction to the euro as the main currency or the currency of these countries. For many years, this region had a higher economic growth than, for example, the Eurozone or Western European countries. Of course, you can always say that it depends on the basis, what is the economic growth, but this is my first point. The second point is that intra-CEE synergies are still not exploited to their maximum. We are connected to Germany, we are connected to Western European countries, but intra-CEE connections in terms of economic benefits are still not exploited to what it can be. It could really be an economic region, a territorial region. Maybe the 3 Cs initiative shows the best, that it goes from Poland to Romania and all to the Balkan countries. This is my second point. The third point, and I stop in a second, that of course, geopolitically, we are close to the biggest conflict of recent years, the Russian aggression on Ukraine. It discourages investments in many cases on one side. It triggers investments, for example, in the military industry. The main balance of these two impacts will also have a significant impact on the region. In my personal understanding, and this is my last sentence, COVID is over. I hope it's over. But instead of COVID, we have a way bigger and maybe longer-lasting challenge, which is the aftermath of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me here. It's good to be here. I want to stress that the Karpacz Economic Forum is a really great forum. I was participated there 2 years ago, and I can say that is the place where you can find really useful discussions about the future of our region and in general about the future of Europe. Regarding the performance, regarding the economic performance of CEE countries against the 2020's challenges which reach us, I can say that I think nobody could be prepared for such a kind of challenges because these challenges were very, very unique and very special challenges. If we are thinking about the COVID pandemic, we can say that we never experienced such a kind of external shock or challenge in the modern economic times. And also the war in our neighborhood is something special which we, since the finish of the Second World War, we didn't experience in our region. It would be very difficult to be prepared for such a kind of challenges. But we can say that in general our region, and especially Hungary, in 2020 was absolutely better prepared, was more resilient against the challenge than we were in 2010s. Before the great financial crisis.
Okay, so now I would like to say that, of course, it's a great opportunity to be here, and I want to say thank you to all of the organizers, and you can imagine, of course, that's the one and only question. Okay, yes. Yeah, I think it's on.
Now it's on.
Now it's on. All right, so it's only the first question from the list of a few we will answer, so I have to mitigate myself, because according to the old Polish joke, a professor is a person who asks about an hour is answering for a half hour, so I try to make it a little bit shorter. But, okay, to some extent the results of GDP growth are obvious in our region, because we are catching up with the rest of the Europe, and we are moving towards the average of European Union. And of course, I can imagine that same for Hungary and Poland. We would love to reach not only the average for the whole Union, but the level of Germany in maybe not few years, but few decades. So of course we are moving on, but I would like to concentrate answering this question on institutional questions and issues. And the team of scholars, which I only represent, introduced the word patchwork capitalism. So if you are familiar to the concept of models of capitalism or varieties of capitalism introduced by Amabel or Holensowskis, you know that institutions are crucial to shape the policy. So when we are thinking about crisis, when we are thinking about 20s in 21st century, we can divide those challenges or crises into two groups. The first one is like COVID. No one expected that something like that can happen, and no one was prepared actually for what to do, and we paid the price of lowering the GDP level, and much more important price of deaths, of people died because of COVID. And in this case, I would say that at least Poland is quite well prepared, and I would say that the whole European Union wasn't as well prepared as our region to that, because as we indicated in the report, the numbers of negative growth rate for our region was the lowest among the whole European Union, no matter of the number of excessive deaths. Yeah? So we paid the price for that. But the second group of challenges are much more important, and those challenges can be named as long-run challenges, something we can be prepared for. And we are talking a lot about the concept of polycrisis currently in the world economy, in European economy, and we've got a few crises combined. Yeah? COVID finished, the war started, then inflation. We are constantly facing the huge demographic crisis in Poland. Poland took, unfortunately, the first place as country with the lowest fertility rate in European Union, and this is something which will shape Polish economy within 30 or 20 years. And those challenges, which we can be prepared for, are much more important. And I've got the impression, talking about Poland, mostly, that we are not prepared for that. And the threat of being stuck in the middle income trap is really important. Yeah? It doesn't mean that it's some kind of destiny we cannot avoid. But this is a huge threat, and of course I will say a few words about that a little bit later. What are the possibilities to avoid this threat? But this threat is real, and one of the scenarios, because again, we prepared a few scenarios of how Polish GDP and how the GDP level in Central and Eastern European countries will develop throughout the next decade. And there is, of course, the so-called, let's say, optimistic scenario, in which in 20 years we will reach the level of Germany. But of course, there is another scenario, I wouldn't say less probable, in which we will stuck on the level of between 75 and 80%, and this is it. And will be the peripheries forever and ever. And that is something that should, at least, really bother the governments, politicians, us, as well. It could be avoided, but it won't be easy. So till now, that's all what I want to say. Thank you.
I would also like to thank you for the opportunity to be here. If we talk about the challenges of the 2020s, we can mention the green transition, aging demographics, global fragmentation due to politics, or the diminishing competitiveness of Western European economics in new technologies and innovation. The common point of these challenges is they will cause higher cost in production. Higher cost means higher inflation. Higher inflation means stricter investment interest environment. Thus, there will be less fund to finance investments and research and development. It's a big challenge, and the point is the question whether if the CE countries can achieve catch-up depends on the balance indicators. It was shown in the last two crises. The effect of the recession is really depend on the starting point of the country. If the balance indicators is not in check, the recession will be deep. If it's in check, the country will quicker get back to the previous track of growth. What balance indicators? First of all, budget deficit. Lower budget deficit means the fiscal policy have a way to counter attack recession. Low current account deficit or even surplus to avoid the big effect of external shocks. And most importantly, high employment. If you have high employment, the internal demand is less, it can stay higher, and there is not a double crisis where both external and internal environment is negative for the country. So if the CE countries want to be prepared, they have to check the balance indicators. Everything else comes after that.
Thank you so much for your answers. I have to confess that I was so quick to raise the first question that I failed to share some technical information with you, with some pieces of information, I mean. This roundtable discussion will last for an hour or something. I think in the last minutes we can collect some questions from you. And then there will be a coffee break lasting for 20 minutes. So just to plan, I have to share these pieces of information with you. Well, based on your answers, I have to say that we were given a huge and a nice task. I think we have to trade more with each other. One-sidedly, we are trading with our largest business partners, Germany mainly, and it would be better to ease this lopsidedness or one-sidedness. Okay, let's move to the next field or the next area. Well, in Hungary, we could see that the labor market contributed to the flexibility of the economy, and we concluded that there were no serious labor market problems. No huge unemployment rates. Our employment ratios are quite high in terms of men and in terms of women, and it is pretty much the same outside Hungary as well, in the Central and Eastern European region. And what can you talk about the flexibility of the labor market? Is there a hidden factor of labor shortage behind, or were the labor markets indeed flexible, and did the labor markets help avoid a deep recession?
I will start.
Okay.
Labor shortages is often as a negative tone in economic discussion, while it has its advantages in the economy. And it was clearly shown in the last two crises. Hungary, Poland, and several other countries in the region had a huge labor shortages in the end of the 2010s. When the crisis of COVID started, the employers were afraid to lay off their employers. They know that if there is a quick rebound and activity grows back and they laid off their employers, they will have a hard time to find new employees or even find any. So they were cautious with laying off. It caused a higher employment level. On the other side, if there is a lot of vacant jobs in the economy, if someone is laid off, they can easily take new employment in the existing positions. So it helped keep the employment level high. It can be seen in many countries of the region. Higher level employment caused lesser reduction in the internal demand. In the financial crisis, the employment suffered a lot due to the effect of the crisis. It is contrasted with last years. If there would be the same level of decrease in employment, the crisis would be much more effective. This effect was strengthened further with high wage growth that was supported by government policies through minimum wage laws and other measures.
Okay, is it all right? So this time it's working. Right. So let me put in my speech one of the expressions which economists love to place, which is negative trade-off. And we can observe the negative trade-off between short and long run in case of unemployment. And it is, of course, due to demography. Poland, at least, faced during the last 25 years 3 crises, which meant enormous growth of unemployment rate. And it was in the beginning of 21st century and then during the global financial crisis. And I can say that we learn a little bit how especially business sector, enterprise sector learned, and the reaction for this external shock for the first time, so the beginning of 21st century, was different than the next two. Because firstly, facing challenges with demand, the obvious answer was to cut employment. And the year 2001 was the highest unemployment after the transformation in Poland started, above 20%. But later on, it was more moderate. So during the crisis, global financial crisis started in US in year 2008, it was only peaked at 15%. During pandemic, it wasn't any growth of unemployment at all. Firstly, because of the different, of course, policy of government. Secondly, because the different policy introduced by business, because it's easy to fire people, but hiring them again is much more difficult and costly. So maybe it is less costly to keep people even if they don't have much to do for a few months, instead of firing them and then trying to find skilled labor force again. But what is the most important in case of Polish unemployment is this negative trade-off. Short run, the situation is favorable because, to give you the example how the situation changed in 25 years, I can say that part of the unemployment of the beginning of 21st century was because demography. So approximately 800,000 people entered the labor market, and approximately 350,000 people left the labor market yearly in the beginning of 21st century. Now is the opposite situation. So demography is favorable in the short run, but in the longer run, it's like a huge threat, because according to the estimation brought by demographers of Warsaw School of Economics, among others, in year 2060, the number of people living in Poland will decrease by approximately 6 to 8 million people. That is something which is beyond imagination, how it will shape the economy, and of course, without directed migration wave, it won't be possible to catch up. You can ask a question whether we have this kind of policy, and the answer is obvious. Of course not.
Thank you very much. Yes. I think when we consider the labor market, first and foremost, we are representing here also universities, so we also need to say some words about the education system. Whether the education system really prepares the right people with the right skills, right knowledge to the requirements of the labor market. And not only about, I'm talking about, I don't know, artificial intelligence and how these new digital challenges will transform the labor market globally, including our region, and whether we train the right people for these challenges, but also whether we have enough number of blue-collar workers. Because we cannot really say generally that there is a labor shortage in general on the labor market. Maybe we can say, but it's more fragmented, the labor market, divided by skill level, education level, geographical fragmentation, low labor mobility. We always say, we have been saying this for decades, especially when compared to the United States. So there are a number of challenges in the labor market, which is unfortunately a European uniqueness. My parents are living in the countryside. They would have never believed to relocate to another country or to Budapest or to some other cities in order to get a better paid job, because they were born there, they were raised there, and that's all. So this mindset is also or shall be changed in some ways. Regarding labor shortages, let me also say another aspect, a social one. Labor shortage, what we as laymen experience, for example, in the construction sector, in the agricultural sector, etc., contributed to the labor market integration of aging population, elderly people, and also in Hungary, even more significantly, the Roma people, gypsy people. Especially in the countryside, and there are very good statistics about it, Roma people who used to be unemployed and outside of the labor market, they have been pulled into the labor market locally. And the Hungarian government, I'm not here to praise the Hungarian government, but the Hungarian government introduced in 2010-11 this mandatory public labor program, if I translate it in a proper way to English. It contributed for them to enter into the labor market, then stepping out of the government-funded scheme, now they are in the private labor market. I'm talking mostly about gypsy population, and especially in the countryside. This is my second point. Labor shortages, and I reflect here regarding the higher cost. You need to pay more to the labor, and with higher energy prices, with higher production prices, the competitiveness of the European economy is fading, is decreasing, the global competitiveness, because of energy, because of labor, all these things. The next thing that I would like to talk about is very important, what you mentioned, resilience. This is key. This is the key, the most important thing. In order to be resilient in these multiple challenges that we are facing, strong and decisive governments in place are needed. If there's a political deadlock, if there's incapability to decide to set the objectives to govern, that will also be conducive to the decrease of the competitiveness of a country. And my last word now, or last sentence now, is that one of the main questions for the Central and Eastern European region, whether we can profit from the brokening of the global value chains. whether there will be a relocation of capital, of production capacities from Asia back to Central and Eastern Europe. Because with all these conflicts in the Middle East and with all the jeopardies on global logistics, it can be, or there could be a turning point. It's a question to everyone. When Western European or American companies decide, okay, it's enough to produce something in Asia, okay, it's cheaper, but it's more unsecure to provide all these goods and services, for example, in Europe. And then they decide to relocate some production facilities back to the Central Eastern European region.
Go back, Szabolcs, to your concrete question. I want to say that at least from point of view of Hungarian point of view, that we could maintain good figures regarding the labor market in time of the crisis. It was very important to could avoid a deeper recession. We have to know that in the 2020s, the Hungarian figures regarding the labor market were absolutely better than we had before the great financial crisis in 2008, because that time Hungary had the highest level of unemployment in European Union, and also the lowest employment rate in the European Union. And after 2010, when the new government came in power, they started a new economic policy, and we can say that the flagship project of this new economic policy was the creation of new work places. As I remember, the goal was to have 1 million, about 1 million new workplaces, and from nowadays perspective, we can say that this policy was successful, because nowadays and on 2020 in Hungary were about 4.7 million employment. It is the highest figure in the last more than 30 years, and we have a very good unemployment rate below 4% actually, and also the employment rate is above the average in the European Union, and I think it was very important to can address in better way the challenges which was created by the pandemic and the war. And it is also important that the better shape of our economic situation allow us to have an active labor market policy, to do active labor market policy during the pandemic crisis, and it was very important in its effects.
Okay, thank you so much. I think in the last minutes we talked quite a lot about the Hungarian case and the Hungarian example. And with the next question, I will turn to Piotr directly, because our Polish guest may not know that even university students in their dissertations and in their theses were dealing with the Polish miracle. Let me tell you that in the last 10 years I saw, it is difficult to count, but close to 10 theses written on what we can learn from the Polish economic policy. So it is not an overstatement to say that, well, we are interested whether we can learn something from the treatment of the 2008 and 9 recession, and is there anything what we can learn from the treatment of the challenges of the 2020s. And of course later I will turn to our Hungarian panelists and I will raise the question, was there a Hungarian miracle, and can it be compared to the Polish one?
There is still a Hungarian miracle, so it's the past tense is not.
Yes. It's not so very often situation that you can be so proud of being a Pole. So it's nice to be here once again. Yeah, you are extremely hospitable. Yeah, the Hungarian hospitality is beyond imagination, I would like to say.
It's average.
All right. So let me start. Yeah, with a citation that I prepared for today, and to honor the author, I will use my external memory to make it exactly, and to give you the example what is at least partly behind this Polish miracle. And let me say that in English. It's the Polish author called Andrzej Ziemiański. If you tell a German forbidden or verboten, it means forbidden. If you say it to Russian, the same thing. Try saying it to a Pole. Forbidden is for him immediately 3 possibilities. Partly forbidden, and you have to dim. Forbidden, but not completely, as it forbidden and unforbidden at the same time. And the simplest possibility, banned, oh, that means no one knows anything and do what you want. So I would say that is part of Polish miracle. And again, coming back to those 2 types of crises, in case of this short-run, unexpected crisis, this attitude toward what is forbidden is something which is extremely important. But samely, in case of those long-run challenges, that is devastating. And that's another example of a trade-off between short and long run. We managed to deal with the COVID pandemic, and because of that attitude, the decrease in growth rate and the level of GDP was so low, because of course it was forbidden to go to a restaurant because of lockdown, and it was enough to find a place and make something like, and suddenly it was open. It was like this period in American history when it was illegal to drink alcohol, and same time even police force knew exactly where to go to drink. And of course, it's a part of the success during the crises. And according to the most popular view, in case of the global financial crisis, it was the change in institutional environment. Of course, lowered the protection on labor market substantially. The consequence, we've got in Poland the highest number of this special type of labor agreement in the whole European Union. So it's unprotected labor, but because of that, the labor market was more flexible and the unemployment wasn't so high. To some extent, of course, it was pure luck. Firstly, Mediterranean countries were hit mostly during the pandemic because of the tourist sector. Yeah, for Greece, Spain, Italy, it was obvious, but lack of, and you can of course knock especially to the hairdresser or to the pub, but you cannot knock in special way to the plane and it won't open in any case. So, of course, it was partly because of the structure of economy, partly because people in Western Europe stayed in home, they had to do something. So why not change the flat or make a redecoration? And somehow, what does it mean? That we produced a lot of products from that area. Our industry connected to that was and is quite substantial, and because of that, our export was not hit so much. Because of the fact that it was a break in global value chains, and the question raised that maybe the idea to move the whole production to the Southeast Asia and to China wasn't so good idea in face of pandemic, because now, and I don't know what was the situation in Hungary, but from the Polish perspective it was, I wouldn't say fun fact because it's always connected to human's death. But of course it was like waiting for this plane coming from China and bringing medicines and medical equipment. It was like, I'm old enough to remember the communist regime, and it was like waiting for the oranges coming from Cuba for Christmas. And it was on telly always such information that the ship entered the port in Gdynia. So it was the same about this plane coming from China. So of course, in that sense, it was important to be in Europe. And this near shore is important. Last but not least, of course, war in Ukraine is a tragedy from the people's point of view. The situation in Belarus is awful, but samely, extremely unstable situation on the east border, on European Union, mostly Polish border, stop this natural movement of different industries moving toward east. Yeah? They stopped in Hungary, in Poland, and in Romania, and this is it. Nobody is moving the industry more east because, of course, now it's war. But even before war, our Ukrainian friends know that perfectly, the situation wasn't very stable there, and the corruption was a real problem. Of course, Belarus, a different story, dictatorship, Russia, the same. So, in such case, we are benefiting from that those parts of production which was possible to move were moved to Central Europe, and this is it. So it was beneficial. So it's part of this miracle, if we can use that expression. And I would like to stress that Polish people are extremely resilient to the government, and another good comparison I could name is that comparing Poland with Germany, or to some extent the whole Central Europe with Germany, we can say that German economy, German attitude, German mentality is like machine. Everything is work perfectly. Poland is more like plant. You can cut the plant, and other place it will be again looking for sun, changing the shape. Yeah, Poland is a plant. That's a part of Polish miracle. Thank you.
Regarding the Hungarian miracle, I don't want to exaggerate, of course, but let me just name some of the best practices that I think worth to be mentioned. First and foremost, many of you mentioned the demographic challenges that our countries face, and the Hungarian family policy, and it has many pillars in Hungary, from taxation to subsidizing kids, etc., 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 and building schools and kindergartens. That we need to do something with that. And we have reached some results, obviously. Unfortunately, external economic shocks do have an impact on family policy in any country of the world. But I think that the steps that the Hungarian government made is a good best practice. Point number one. Point number two, simplification of the taxation system. The whole procedures and taxation, for corporate taxation I'm talking about, and the flat rate and the relatively low flat rate tax system for companies, that's also something which contributes to the competitiveness of the country. Maybe these two, but my colleagues will mention more.
Back to Poland, I would like not to diminish the effort of the Polish policymakers or the will of the Polish people, but in my opinion, the main reason behind the Polish miracle is its size. Compared to other CE countries, Poland is relatively closed compared to Czechia or Hungary, so the external shocks has a smaller effect. They can withstand it with internal demand, which in Hungary is not really possible. The reason that the financial crisis hit Hungary so hard is the policies before the crisis. When the crisis arrived here, there was huge budget deficit, huge current account deficit, low employment, huge external debt. The fiscal and monetary policy had to use restrictive policy at the start of the financial crisis, deepening the crisis effect. Compared to this, in the beginning of 2020, the budget deficit was relatively low, below the Maastricht criteria. Employment was high, investment rate was high, current account showed a surplus. These phenomena all contributed to a lesser decrease in GDP effect. So if you want to call it a miracle, it's not in the policies of the 2020s, it's in the policies of the 2010s. If you want to lessen the effect of the crisis, you can't wait till the crisis starts. You have to start it years before that. So the miracle is not in the crisis, it's well before that. And because it's the effect of a lot of people, I wouldn't call it a miracle.
Hungary is not so nice.
Yeah.
Okay, regarding the Polish miracle, regarding the Polish situation in 2010s, I think that was a really we can say miracle because only Poland was the only one country in the European Union which didn't fall in recession, and only on the level of OECD, only some countries, maybe Australia, Israel, and South Korea, were the countries which have positive economic growth. And as Dani mentioned, I think in case of Poland, it is very important that Poland has the biggest internal market in between the Central and Eastern European countries. And regarding Hungary, I also want to underline that the very poor and very the worst economic performance what we have during the financial crisis was caused because before that crisis we had a very inefficient economic policy. And that time when after the joining European Union in all Europe was a conjuncture when countries like Slovakia and Poland has annually economic growth about more than 10%. Slovakia has in 2007 maybe 13% of economic growth. That time Hungary had only between 0 and 1% economic degree. And regarding the last period of time, regarding the pandemic and the war caused crises, we can say that the better Hungarian performance was caused because we had a good economic performance before the crisis, and in 2020 we were absolutely more resilient compared with the previous crisis.
Thank you so much. Well, I have a couple of other questions in my mind, but as we are coming closer to the coffee break, instead I turn to those who listen to us. If you have some questions, we can replace my questions with your questions. So, is there any question from your part? If not, then yes, please, sorry.
I'm Balázs Radi from index.hu news platform. My question would be, how realistic is it for the CEE countries to reach the EU average? And how realistic is it to reach even the level of Germany?
Depends on the time frame. Seriously speaking, I do remember when in the early 1990s, the reference point for Hungary was not necessarily Germany, but Austria. That it was told to Hungarians, or the general perception of the society, okay, with the fall of communism and with democracy and capitalism, we will reach the level of Austria. 5 years, 10 years, what was it?
Yes, but Austria in a better situation than Germany.
Exactly. So we are not good at choosing our reference points either. I think it's not realistic in the foreseeable future, in the coming one decade. I don't want to be pessimistic, but let's be realistic. I think for Hungarians, or for Hungary, or for Central Eastern European countries, we are about to reach, and maybe we already overridden, Portugal and Greece, and then some countries in the Mediterranean, less or least developed countries in the European Union. But let's be honest, Austria or Germany will not wait for us, or they stop at this level of development, and then they are waiting for us to catch up with them. I don't want to talk about the psychological impacts of that, and this is what you mentioned properly, periphery. That we are always believe that we will be able to catch up, but we always fail. And what consequences, what impacts it has on the mindset. So in the rational thing in a lifetime is to change the country, because then you can live in the level of job, then working hard in order to catch up with Austria and Germany. But please correct me if I'm wrong or any other.
All right. So I use this opportunity, your question, to say a little bit more about the prospects of development, economical development, and to give you impression, what does it mean to catch up with the average level of European Union and Germany? Let me remind you another miracle, but this time German miracle, or what they say, a Wirtschaftswunder. What does it mean? The whole decade of 50s last century, the average growth rate of German economy yearly was above 8%. That's a real miracle. That is something what we really need to catch up fast. Is it possible? I don't want to talk about Hungary. I say for Poland, no. It's impossible. Is it possible to achieve an average level of 2 percentage points above the growth rate of German economy, Austrian economy? Yes, it is possible. What does it mean? The catch-up process would be for 3 decades. Is it possible? Yes, of course. What shall we do then to achieve this? Let me use the words or the concept of the great critique, one of the 2 greatest critique of capitalism system throughout the history of human being, the guy that I really admire, Joseph Schumpeter. Because next to Karl Marx, he was the greatest critique of capitalism, but of course Marx was a critique who said things about capitalism, but saying, yeah, okay, the system will be destroyed. Yeah. And Schumpeter said, capitalism will die, and it's really sad thing. So what is crucial in the Schumpeter way of thinking about capitalism? 2 things, innovation and entrepreneurial spirit. And let me say something about students. The sad thing is that, of course, SGH, my university, is very good, young, talented people. You can meet the best example of that today. But, unfortunately, when you make a survey about students, among students, about their future, what would you like to do when you finish your study? The most common answer is to get the position of junior product manager in multinational company. Is it entrepreneurial spirit? I don't think so. I don't think so. And people are not risk takers, what Schumpeter indicated in his work, and without that, it won't be extremely difficult to catch up. And secondly, innovation. The problem is in Poland, because as far as you know, we've got the huge political change. In October, the right-wing government lost. During the election, we've got a new central left-wing government currently, but last 8 years in Poland was a try to introduce in Europe the model of development used by Asian tigers. So the development driven by state. And it was a disaster. Of course, why is it like that? We can ask a question whether a state cannot be a driver of innovation, and the answer is, of course it can. But using the Holland-Soski's famous book about the varieties of capitalism, we should say that there are 2 types of innovation. You know that perfectly. So we've got incremental innovation and rapid innovation. And when you ask people about innovation, they will say immediately that it's something completely new. Yeah, like a smartphone compared to mobile telephone, it's like drone, such stuff. And this type of innovation cannot be financed by state because the risk is too high and state cannot engage public funds in an activity which should be financed by venture capital, because from the point of view of venture capital, no matter how much money will be sunk, at least one project will be successful, and this is it. You earn your money. State cannot act like that, because people would be furious and mad that you are burning public money, our tax money. But incremental innovation is something different. You've got something. The Germans are the masters of incremental innovation. According to a popular view, we don't know who will present, with what country, what kind of company will present the self-driving car, autonomous car. We don't know that yet, but we can be sure that this car will be painted with a German-produced color. Because automobile industry is an example of a huge line set of incremental innovation. The cars that you can see driving next to this beautiful place are more or less the same as cars invented in the late 19th century. Of course, that's better, safer, and so on, but more or less 3 wheels, engine using fuel, and so on and so on. Yeah? So we have to think about the way we will create innovation, and this incremental innovation is something which is worth to finance by state. And last but not least, from me. Of course, saying that, I have to share with you one of my memories. I was a teenager in the 80s. And it was a very popular rock pop band, German pop band, called Alphaville this time. And they made 2 hits. The first one was big in Japan, and the second one was Forever Young. And one line from this hit, Forever Young, is something which I would like to share with you, and I've got the impression that I am the 21st century Malthus, and the economics would be again a name set science, but the line from this song is, are they gonna drop the bomb or not? Are they? So
I also think that in the foreseeable future, we can't catch up to Austria in the case of GDP. But if you ask any motivational trainer, they will say you, if you set easy targets, you will also fail them. So it's better to set a harder target. But most should be concentrated more as policymakers to raise the living standard of the people of the country continuously. It's almost the same as with one indicator, GDP, have the same level as Austria. Policymakers should concentrate on policies that cause sustainable development, environmentally, socio-democratically, and so on. So it's not a good thing to chase one target, the GDP per capita, because it's just a small part of the picture. Sustainable economy is much more important, in my opinion. And also fair income distribution, environment sustainability, low poverty rates, it's also as important as GDP, but it's looked over more.
Just very brief. I agree with my colleagues that to catch up with Germany is not realistic in the foreseeable future, but there is a room to perform better. And from this point of view, I think would be very good to have a more integrated Central European economy, to cooperate more each other and to create an integrated Central European economy. And for this, I think the V4 or the three C's initiative is a very good framework. We have to do a lot together. I think from this point of view, it is very important to develop, for example, the infrastructure in the Central European region, because we have a lot of problems from this point of view. For example, we don't have a motorway connection between Warsaw and Budapest, which is something I think unbelievable in the 21st century.
Thank you so much. I think it is time to conclude the first panel. Thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for the answers. And I think on behalf of the panelists, I can say that they remain approachable during the coffee break. They remain open when you have questions. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you so much for the participation. Thank you.
Okay, so we will start, and then if anybody is still drinking his last coffee, he can come afterwards. So this is the second panel of our event here today, and I also like to ask to switch off the music, please. So the second panel will be about the challenges in energy sector and challenges of energy security, especially for Central Eastern European region. My name is Anton Benderzewski, Director of Oeconomus Economic Research Foundation. I'll be the moderator of this session today, and I would like to introduce our guests. Well, starting with the lady at the panel. Unfortunately, the only lady we have in the panel. Dr. Dorota Nidjoka, Dean of Master's Degree Program at the Warsaw School of Economics and Head of the Department of Economic Geography. Then I will start at that end. Dr. Ákos Mernyei. Sorry. No. That end, no. Tamás Cseh. I'm so sorry. So starting from that end, Tamás Cseh, Energy Policy Advisor at Center for Fundamental Rights, former Deputy CEO and member of the board at Hungarian MVM, and former Deputy State Secretary for Utilities. Sorry, Ákos will be the last one because we are continuing this side. So on my left side, we have Mihály Tatár, a senior analyst at Economic Research Foundation, Oeconomus Economic Research Foundation. Then going towards Ákos, but still not there. We have Dr. András Deák, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of World Economics of the Hungarian Academy of Science, and Senior Research Fellow at John Lukács Institute, National University of Public Service. And now, finally, Dr. Ákos Mernyei, Associate Professor at the National University of Public Service, former Director of International Relations at National University of Public Service, and former Deputy State Secretary for European Union and International Relations. Okay, and well, we will start. The panel is about energy security for our region. And I will start probably with one of the most important questions for this specific region. Dependency on Russian energy sources at the CEE countries. Because of our geographic position, because of our historical past, and well, because of Russian energy sources were always quite cheap for the region. So we are partly still dependent on Russian energy sources. My question is, what steps are being taken to diversify energy sources and enhance energy security in the last years, starting from 2022 or maybe even before, after 2014? So what are the dynamics going on in this region? How countries are trying to diversify their energy flows, or are they trying to diversify? So maybe let's start with our Polish guest, Dorota.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to take something. Thank you. Thank you for have the opportunity to take part in this discussion. When we talk about diversity, energy sources, and about the last year, maybe the best point of view is the 2020 when the war to Ukraine started, because it is a special date, because a special year, because all of us start to thinking about the dynamization of activity, about the energy sources and energy security. And first of all is to increasing the share of the renewable energy and changing the renewable energy in energy mix. We start to changing natural gas suppliers, and we start to thinking, I talk about all countries in sea region, increasing to change number of suppliers other than Russia, because Russia was the biggest supplier for gas, and it's the point. Yes. Maybe the others?
I would be the next one.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation, having opportunity to share my thoughts with you. So let me start. What does it mean exactly that energy crisis? Because everybody's saying that energy crisis is happening now, but as I see that the title of this conference is I think better, energy challenges, not energy crisis. Why? Because in the narrow sense, I think that now there is no energy crisis. Why? Because you're seeing that there is any restriction on lighting or heating systems. So I think that the world is full of the energy sources. So what's the second line? I think that we need to focus on the existing infrastructure which is connecting Europe with Russia, for example. And we can state, I think, that some infrastructure are still existing, which were built in the communism area from a direction from east to west. And yes, I know that this was a very, very useful tool for the communism. Because to handle or exercising the influence on the CE region. So that's why we can state and we can focus that these infrastructures are still existing. But what happened in 2022? In 2022, the war between Russia and Ukraine has been launched, and that's why. The European countries absolutely has given an answer to this war. And this answer, I don't know that is wrong or good answer, but that was an answer that Europe and the European countries need to transform its transport routes in terms of the natural gas, cutting off all of the connection with the Russian partners. So, but okay, that was the answer. But I think that at least three questions has been arisen. How much is it? How much is the transformation? What would be the replacement of the natural gas coming from Russia? And maybe the timing of the transformation. Yes, the center of the European Union was saying that that would be very quickly, and there will be very quickly. Okay, but how much is it? So I think that these three questions, at least three questions, and yes, and there is an additional question, energy sovereignty. So because we are talking about the dependency from the Russian gas, but what about the LNG dependency nowadays?
Thank you. I would raise also the issue of time frames, which is that in Brussels and in policy making, the times are usually very short and everything is very fast. For me to define a new energy target date and a new energy target volume target, so basically targeting, it's very, very fast. In real life, energy infrastructure investment is very slow. The typical energy investment to physically finish it takes from 5 to 7 years, and that's a very short time frame actually. So we can talk a lot about reaching X and Y targets within 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. The physical reality won't be that fast. The increasing of the capacity of the pipelines, the building of new LNG terminals, signing the necessary contracts, working out the financial part of these new imports, that takes a lot of time. It's almost nobody from decision makers in Brussels seems to be aware of this problem. Just one example, the large Hungarian electricity holding company MVM is right now organizing an LNG trading desk in the UK, in London. And if you think about it, only finding the necessary office space, the right managers, the right traders, signing the physical contracts of delivery, the financial contracts of delivery, creating those bank relationships in the UK, that takes years itself. So there is a huge discrepancy between energy target setting and actual physical world.
Well, I would say in general on the EU level that the Russian energy security dossier is closed. It's over. It's not a topic anymore in the traditional sense. So this is not an energy policy issue. Of course, there are a number of issues left. Whether we buy Russian LNG, but this is not an energy policy issue, it's an economic statecraft issue, and it is doable, I think, in the foreseeable future. Some countries did not diversify away from Russian energy, that's true, but these are smaller countries, including old ones, well, in Hungary, Austria, Slovakia, but on the European level, this is not a big pie. So I would say that you cannot refer to Russia as a source of energy and security on the continental level, neither in oil nor in natural gas. And there is not too much hope in the short to mid-term that the Russians will be able to come back. Definitely not in the gas industry because they don't have the capacity, the pipeline capacity to do that. I don't see it's coming. While oil, theoretically, yes, but a lot of things on the political level should be done to let them come back to the continent. And when they come back, it is going to be another oil market. And we have still the nuclear, which is a very selected number of countries affected it. So, well, I'm not saying that there are issues left related to Russia. For some countries, those countries who import Russian energy are usually more relaxed about it. So for them, the Russian energy insecurity was not that much of a topic than for others. So on the EU and the European level, I think this is over. For me, I was a Russian energy securist at the very beginning of my career. Everybody told me that until pension, it is going to be, it will last. I have 15 years until pension, and I definitely feel the change of the situation now.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity and the invitation, Anton and the Oeconomus Foundation. It is a very good thing standing at the end of the row, because the original question is already forgotten, and the people before me has taught a lot of smart things that I could hardly add anything. But as far as I remember, the original question was what steps has been taken to get rid of, or at least decrease, the dependency with regards to energy. And in this term, I believe that what just Tamás said with regards to the energy sovereignty, that is a very important concept for Hungary, because usually we talk about sovereignty in legal terms, whether the country is sovereign is, I mean, in the general speech, is interpreted or understood as a kind of legal independence from outer powers. But the physical dependency, especially the energy dependency, is, in my belief, just as important as the legal independence and the legal sovereignty. And if we take a step forward, backwards, or maybe 3 steps, we can see that, well, in the communist era, really the main source of natural gas supply was Russia, of course, in the complete CE region, not only in Hungary. So when the opportunity arose to decrease this level of dependency, of course, the first was to look for other suppliers than Russia. And steps were taken during the last decades, I can say, for finding other sources and other suppliers, also in the Middle East or Central Asia, the Arabic countries and whichever, who can supply the necessary quantity of natural gas for Hungary. Another thing is the building of the interconnectors with the neighboring countries. So, for example, Hungary, with the exception of Slovenia, but it is also political steps has already been taken, and the MOU has already been signed with Slovenia with regards to the construction of the natural gas pipeline. With all the other countries, we have this necessary infrastructure. Many of them also provides for the opportunity of contraflow. So we can also sell and also buy via these pipelines. So in case of any shortage or surplus within the country, we can help each other on an economic and a trade basis. And I believe this interconnectedness, which basically lies in the principle of connectivity, which is one of the key features, so to say, of Hungary, has already been in process.
When I can add something to this point of discussion, we should remember that Russia, as its successor, applied the policy of bonus of obedience and crisis management, and it was very important for country and the country of our regions, because the tools of this policy were the prices and conditions of natural gas suppliers, and we have now the reason of this two politics. The policy bonus for obedience and the crisis management. Yes.
Well, my next question goes to geographic position of Central Eastern Europe and the countries in the region. Many countries in the region are, in fact, landlocked countries. like Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Austria. So we are very much reliant on other countries surrounding us. We are not in such lucky situation as Poland, which can build, for example, LNG terminals and so my question is, for landlocked countries, what are the real options for energy security? Because they are so much reliant on their neighbors, how can they not just go with the flow, but ensure that they will have stable connections, that they will have necessary gas and oil flowing. So what are the strategies for survival? And maybe you can add from Poland's perspective that how, being not a landlocked country, how does it help your energy strategy?
Okay, when we talk about Poland, because such the story of every country is such others. When we talk about Poland, we talk about gas supplying. We could, I think, pointed at our new gas port is Świnoujście, and we can change the regasification our gas, but the second point is I think nuclear plant, and it is a new idea to make energy security. And the third point is renewable energy and renewable sources, and we talk about the politics and economic for the renewable energy.
Yes, and as I know that Poland and the Polish government is planning to set up a new and traditional nuclear power plant now with cooperation with the Westinghouse, as I know.
And I think South Korea, right? Or
Westinghouse, American, US.
No, but also you have Korean cooperation, I think, in the
I don't know, maybe, and as I know that maybe the Polish, I don't know, energy strategy is thinking about to start an SMR technology as well, as I know that the relevant authority has also launched or has also issued the 6 permission to start these projects, if I know well, but I don't know. So that's why I think that maybe this could absolutely support the green transition happening in Poland, because now, as I know, that the starting point is that the electricity production in Poland is based on coal mining with a 71 proportion, as I know. So that's why I think that and the Polish government is planning that the second large, and maybe the Polish government is planning to get a carbon neutrality situation till 2040, as I know. So that's why this is absolutely a great challenge for Poland and for Hungary. Yes, so as Ákos mentioned, that for getting more and more strong energy sovereignty or diversification, I think that you have different kind of tools or different kind of ways to get this energy sovereignty. For example, you can get more and more, I think, transport lines and transport connection. For example, with Azerbaijan, for example, with Turkey. So I think that the diversification is one of the way of getting an energy sovereignty. The second one would be improving the domestic gas production. Now here in Hungary, MVM and MOL now is covering maybe 20% of the consumption of Hungary for a year. I think this is the domestic production. Now, so you can, and the Hungarian government absolutely is planning to improve more and more this domestic production, and maybe as you mentioned, I think that the nuclear power plant. So we need absolutely, and Hungary is also needs. Hungary needs to get more and more investment to the nuclear energy and the nuclear industry, because the nuclear energy, as the taxonomy directive is saying, is absolutely and is considered as a green technology. Absolutely, it's a green technology, zero emission. So yes, maybe we have to get the nuclear fuel to the nuclear power plant from abroad, I think. However, this is absolutely a reliable technology. This is the first one. The second one, this is absolutely, there is no carbon dioxide emission during the operation of the nuclear plant, I think. And that's why I think that absolutely the nuclear power plants are giving baseload electricity, which is absolutely, that's why it's calling, I think, a baseload, because absolutely it could be a base of every energy mix of different kind of countries.
Safer than others.
Yes, absolutely, I agree with you.
Yes, so personally, I don't really like the expression landlocked. It sounds so 20th century. Effectively speaking, and after some investments, there are no landlocked countries. So once those connections are established, electricity, gas, oil can go from wherever to wherever. Also, there is no scarcity in sellers. So there are several countries and producers who are more than happy to sell to Eastern Europe, even Romania, which is of course here, but also Azerbaijan, Qatar, Algeria. There is absolutely no scarcity in sellers. The issue is not, I think, logistics. After a couple of years when these investments have been made, the issue is long-term economic and geopolitical viability. So just to give you an example, at the moment, the average German electricity price is 40 euros per kilowatt hour, so 40. When those German nuclear plants were still on, they produced 1 kilowatt hour for 2.5 euro cents. So that's the difference. The same is true for gas. So at the moment, the US natural gas is 4 times cheaper than in Europe. And that is without the LNG logistics, investments, and infrastructure. So that is a huge difference. I am not sure what the economic edge of this region will be if we would, let's say, buy up American LNG as Germany does. If you look at what Germany has been doing, or Germany's performance, the German industrial production has contracted by 8% in the last 5 years. In terms of energy-intensive industrial production, it's 21%. You don't have to be a nuclear scientist to look for reasons. If you look at Austria, which curiously hasn't stopped Russian gas imports, the industrial production increased by 10%. So that gives you an effective 30% edge of energy price. So I think being a landlocked country, that's an issue for maybe up to 5 years. Once the necessary physical, slow but gradual investments have been done, the real question will be what is the price, the pricing edge, what is the input cost of this energy that we want to get.
Well, if I understand correctly, we are speaking about Hungary, Austria, to some extent Slovakia, Serbia maybe, and about natural gas, right? Not oil and other things. Well, I think a number of benchmarks have to be set. The first one is that the Russian natural gas supply is not reliable anymore, and it is not up to the Russians only whether they can deliver the natural gas to the borders. A lot of things may happen with the pipelines in Ukraine, under the Black Sea, in the transit issues, Russian natural gas might be cut. So of course, if you remain on the Russian pipe, you may remain the minimum that you establish technological optionality to import others from other sources. And you can simply not manage it with good bilateral relations with Russia. This is a good hope that the Russians will not cut the supply, but it remains a lot dependent on the transit, whether the Russians can secure transit through these regions. So this is one. So Russian gas is insecure, with one word. Second, of course, in the current environment, we cannot import alternative gas in a mass scale on a competitive levels. But there are a number of hurdles. Well, the German transit fees are extremely high. There is a special tax on it. Of course, this is almost prohibitive. If you want to bring in natural gas from the Atlantic area, even the Germans indirectly buy Russian gas to the southern factories because it is much cheaper than imported from the north. Other options in the short term are not really visible. So I don't believe in Azaria. Sorry, in a mass scale, they don't have it. Maybe LNG from the south, yes, in the short scale, but not much. Contracting natural gas easily is not that easygoing. But if you go to the U.S., the talk starts with a 10-year contract. U.S. is not ready. U.S. suppliers not ready to provide short-term issues because American gas is bought up by Europe, actually, at a certain point. So it's not that easy. So I think this is the second benchmark. You have to keep it in mind that in the short-term diversification away is not that easy at a cheap price. And the third thing you have to keep in mind that in an emergency situation, I think we can cope at a high price, of course. We can cope with a supply shock. So there will be enough gas in Austria. In Hungary, the pipeline is there, the infrastructure is there, the European storage is relatively full for the season. So we can survive a Russian supply shock. We have to work on diversifying away, at least establishing some sort of technological optionality. I would be happy to have more non-Russian contracts in the portfolio, but not at every price. And you don't have to rush anymore. I think you have to advance in this direction in a very concise way. I don't think that the government these governments do move in this direction sufficiently, but you don't have to hurry anymore.
Just a quick question for András. You said that Russian supplies are not reliable anymore. Are there any reliable energy sources which we can get in the region? Well, can we call anything reliable in this regard?
Well, I would say that the LNG market as such is more reliable than the Russian pipeline, so as it is. So if we speak about the Russian natural gas supply, we are speaking about two pipelines. The one is through Ukraine, just imagine, the two countries in war. We don't know at what price we can import through Ukraine in the next year, because the long-term transit contract will be not will be over. Short-term capacities will be offered at what price. It is going to be decided in Kiev. Who knows what are the conditions will be. And the second pipeline goes through the Black Sea. A big question whether they can maintain the technological situation there, because it was provided by a Dutch supplier, but the Dutch supplier is not ready because of the sanctions, had to leave. So I don't know whether the Russians have the technological capability to control and to maintain the physical infrastructure in this pipeline. It's a very complicated pipeline, very deep, not that easy. This is one question. Can be attacked anyway. That's the second issue. Well, I don't know. We have seen a pipeline bombed on the north. Why not on the south? And there are a number of issues on the transit countries, Bulgaria, Serbia. I don't know what the European Union, what is going to do with the sanctions policy. So there are a number of question marks, not depending on the Russians. Well, I think that the Russians are willing to supply gas. They understood that this was a huge mistake, what they did in 22, and it failed, basically. So currently, today, Russia would like to have money from Russian gas exports, Gazprom definitely, but it is not up to the Russians anymore, not up to the Russians only anymore.
Well, as to the question, what landlocked countries can do to decrease the level of dependence, I believe that we should start with setting the scene step. And with regards to the notion landlocked, I was born in the 20th century, so I believe that those people or notions or words or whatever things coming from the 20th century still have their, how to say, place in the modern society. And I believe that the notion landlocked country is still valid because it means physical reality. I mean, it's just a difference between owning something or having the opportunity to contract for owning something is a huge difference. So every good lawyer knows that, you know, the ownership and being in a contract is two completely different things, that even though you can contract certain amount of supply of energy or electricity or natural gas or whatever, it's different than owning something at first. The second thing is, if you are a landlocked country, that means basically two things: that you don't have a shore on your own, a coast. So you basically don't have any offshore wind parks, any platforms to mine or refine oil or natural gas from the shelf or whatever. So basically, the way I see it, at least, is just like in financial matters, you need to build a portfolio. At first, to take a look what you have within your own country. And with regards to Hungary, one can see that we are short of any kind of resources with regards to energy, with maybe some exceptions. And these some exceptions means the geothermal energy, which is, however, not in a phase, technically speaking, to support fully the demands of Hungary and the Hungarian industry and the Hungarian citizens. And we also have water, but we also have a lot of sunshine, which means that the country is a good opportunity for investment into solar panels and photovoltaic technology. Nevertheless, these kinds of renewable technologies has their own repercussions, so to say, or backdrops, which means that, of course, the solar panels or the photovoltaic power plants can only produce electricity if the sun is shining. So basically, we need to tackle this issue, and the building of the energy portfolio needs to be built up in a way that we have the base load power plants, which the most reliable, safest, cheapest, and efficient technology is the nuclear technology. And that is the reason why the government of Hungary keeps on the Paks 1 power plant running and building the Paks 2 nuclear power plant. Nevertheless, this is a base load power plant. So in order to tackle the imbalances either of the solar panels or the photovoltaic power plants and the nuclear power plant, we need a kind of interconnector within the energy production system. And these are the natural gas-fired power plant, this so-called CCGT, this combined cycle gas turbine power plants, which are able to either to increase or decrease the productivity of energy in case there's too much sunshine, too little sunshine, or because the nuclear power plants, the production is like base load, it goes on a line, it cannot be just, switched off. And therefore we need to build this kind of portfolio. So nuclear power plants, the CCGTs, and of course, as much as possible, the renewable technology. Excuse me? Yeah. And just wanted to add for the second round so that we can spare some time. Of course, the question arises whether we can build a pump storage power plant in order to balance the imbalance within the production by kind of water power plants, this pump storage power plants, and the batteries, of course.
Well, thank you. For my next question, I'm going to quote from the SGH report, your report, and I think you were the author of this section. The energy transition in the CE countries will be costly due to extensive use of fossil fuels and outdated energy systems. These challenges could trigger energy price increases, which could slow economic growth and reduce social acceptance of climate policy. So question is simple. How can we prepare for these challenges?
Okay. This is true, but there is a chance for these countries because they are catching up on the development of energy market, and they can achieve transformation at the same time as they develop. And we think that in this way, we, the country in sea region, can achieve a success because we have a necessity of making a rapid transition to newest technology. It is the same time we could catch up the time to transform the energy market and to develop the energy market, to change the energy sources and to develop. This our.
So your metaphor is kind of, usually I like telling stories when I was studying in United Kingdom, and the internet there was so slow because they implemented the internet connection before CE region, and that's why they had internet earlier than our region, but it didn't do the later developments, and it was slow. For example, in Hungary at that time, the internet connection was like 5 times faster than that. So you are saying that basically it's kind of similar connection that we can. At the same time, we can speed up as the technology provides the opportunities, we can use that. And what about the costs?
Oh, costs very high.
Thank you. So the question, I would say, will relate to the social acceptance of the cost of the climate change. Or a green transition. So I want to refer only one study, and frankly speaking, I was shocked when I was reading a study made by the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, because this study was pointing out that in some EU countries, for example, in Czech Republic and maybe in Germany, the majority of the people were saying that they are not accepting the cost and the increasing of the cost of the green transition. What does it mean deeply, more deeply, and knowing the details, that half of this group absolutely was saying that they are not believing in the climate change. So I was absolutely shocked. The half of this majority, and the other part of the majority is saying that okay, they are believing in the climate change. However, they don't want to get any cost in terms of this climate change. So that's why I think that the green transition itself, how to say, is facing a very great challenge coming from basically the society.
And what can we do to tackle these challenges?
So, yes, absolutely, I agree with you. Education, 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 and maybe showing some figures that this would be good or not, and the cost. And I think that we don't need to have any ideology, rather and rational green transition.
So back in 2016, I was working for a small oil and gas company, and this is the largest Hungarian oil company and one of the largest companies in the region. And the management decided to move away a little from oil and gas and move into polyol, so basically plastic production. And they approached the huge German company ThyssenKrupp, which is the best in this field in the world, to buy basically a polyol factory and the necessary licenses. Now the Germans, after some deliberation, said that we are very sorry, guys, but the German wages are so high. The German energy is so expensive. That's back 2016. And the regulation is so strict and expensive that we cannot give you a price you can take. But accidentally, we have another company called ThyssenKrupp Thailand, which is in Thailand, and accidentally they have much lower wages. They are not pricing in euros; they are pricing in Thai bahts. They have a much lower energy price. And by the way, the green regulation there is very cheap. You can say zero. And you can buy this polyol factory from there. You just have to ship it through half of the world, and we will make it work. And that's what happened. So that was back in 2016, where you still had all the German nuclear plants on. You had most of the coal plants on, and you didn't have this extremely strict and aggressive green policy making of the German Green Party. So if you just think about the fact that the energy crisis is now over and the German market electricity price dropped 50%. The German household electricity price is barely dropped, maybe dropped like 15%. That's because the price of the green transition, so all the electrification, the electricity distribution system investments, all these costs are basically made to be paid by the households. Also, Germans are generally very frustrated these days because to cover these green costs, there is now a CO2 tax on fuels, and now there is a meat tax proposed for Germany. So basically, you have to pay for eating your meat, basically. So that, of course, doesn't have the earth in climate change, but it does help the German budget. So, and the green transition barely started. and they are already very frustrated, and the German competitiveness is already basically lost. So I think the pushback against green policies is just beginning.
Yeah, definitely. So this is my number 3 concern, what you mentioned with the energy transition. My number 1 concern that the technological matrix for decarbonization is not ready, only partly. Just to keep the record, in 2020, it was practically the halfway of decarbonization. So all this discussion started in the early 90s. In the EU, 4.5% of the total energy supply came from solar and wind, the two fuels what we would like to rely on most, and 80-something% for fossil fuels. So definitely, well, it's not moving very well. I don't know what should be done. I know it is a researcher comfort to say that what I expect. My expectation is that we will be not ready by 2050. And it is not a catastrophe. It very much depends on whether how steep we can reduce our emission. If an earlier emission reduction is more valuable than a normal one. So, for example, it's much more problematic in my understanding that we still have a lignite plant in the country because it is the biggest, by far the biggest emitter. We could definitely stop it without any problem in Hungary, and we don't do this. We should do it now, and what happens to natural gas and other polluters would be my secondary concern. So on the European-wide, finishing burning coal would be the primary target, in my understanding, as soon as possible. And definitely my expectation is that we will be ready with decarbonization only after 2050. We cannot keep the deadline, definitely.
Well, again, in this regard, setting the scene. So the green transition is already happening. So this is a process in which we are already in. This is not a kind of an ideology. This is not a dream. This is not a nightmare as well. This is a process. Nevertheless, we need to find our place in this process with 2 feet on the ground. So to behave in a rational way, to understand the cost, the benefits, the difficulties, and also the opportunities that lies within it. So if we talk about the social acceptance, we need to kind of show the opportunities, in my belief at least, for the society and give the necessary support for the citizens to take the opportunities that lies within the green transition, and don't make a green ideology of it. But if you take a look at, for example, the household solar panel building support scheme of Hungary, or take a look at buying a new fully electrical vehicle support scheme of Hungary, then a lot of people will just realize that there is the opportunity in it. It's not the cost they need to take, they need to suffer from, or it's not a pill they need to swallow. It can be an opportunity. For example, it was just the last week when I flew back from Turkey to Budapest, and from the airport I took a taxi, and the taxi driver drove a completely electrical vehicle, and we were of course chatting and asked him about the price and whatever, and he told me that it is very, very feasible for him, this fully electrical vehicle. I won't say the brand, of course, but the battery is already quite strong for a daily motion or the daily circle of him. And at the end of the day, he just plugs the car into the network. through the night, it is completely recharged, and the price of the consumption is only the one quarter of fuel price. So it is very affordable for him, especially taking into account the supplement scheme that the government of Hungary gives him. It was, I think, 4 or 5 million forints to the price of that car. And that means, of course, a lot of a step forward in the greening. For example, a taxi driver, I don't know, 300, 400 kilometers even just in one day, if he is out in the street for 8, 10 hours, and the emission that would come from a normally fueled, gasoline-fueled car will just not, be in the air of Budapest because he uses an electrical car.
So we have just a few minutes left, and well, I would like to ask our audience for some questions. If you have some questions, we have journalists sitting here. We have well-known experts in energy field sitting here. So if I have any questions, please ask a question shortly. Introduce yourself, and I think we can collect in one round 2-3 questions if we have so many questions, and then our speakers will answer.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Ivan Lebedev. I'm Budapest correspondent for the Russian news agency TASS, and my question is on the decision of Ukraine not to resume the agreement with Gazprom company after 2024 for the transition of Russian gas through Ukrainian territory. In 2021, Hungarian MVM company signed 2 contracts with Gazprom for the delivery of the Russian gas to Hungary. The first route is through Ukraine, Slovakia, and to Baumgarten hub in Austria, and then to Hungary. The second route is through Turkish pipeline, Bulgaria and Serbia, the northern route. The main quantity of the gas comes now through the south route. If we look at the interactive map of FGS Hungarian company, which is the operator of all the gas pipelines in the country, we will see that the route through the Baumgarten practically doesn't work now. Some days it doesn't work, it's stopped. So all the amount of the Russian gas now comes through the Turkish flow. The question is, this decision of Ukraine not to resume the agreement with Gazprom for the transition of the Russian gas, how can it affect the Hungary, the deliveries of the Russian gas to Hungary after 2024? And do you think that that there will be any reason for the MVM or Hungarian government to try to get agreements, direct agreements with the Ukraine for the transition of the Russian gas through Ukrainian soil, or can all the amount of the Russian gas will be delivered through the southern route? Okay, thank you so much.
Maybe we collect a few more questions if we have any. So yes, gentleman there.
Hi everyone. I'm David Kempfner from the Science and Technology Parks Association, and I have a short question for everyone. What's your opinion about the future super energy source, the hydrogen? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any more questions? If not, then we have these 2 questions in front of our speakers. Who would like to start?
Yeah, regarding the hydrogen question, so at the moment I don't know about any one European company which is doing any kind of hydrogen project. without explicit government funding or compensation, none. That tells you something. It's not only that hydrogen is basically 4 times more expensive than any normal way of creating fuel. There are also very important geopolitical issues. So if you listen to 2 days ago to former President Trump speaking in Ohio, he said that what the trend is now that the Chinese electric cars are coming to the US either directly from China or through Mexico, and that will use the term bloodbath. So basically they will destroy the US car industry. And he said that his solution is 2-way. One, the US is either putting on a 100% tariff on Chinese cars, otherwise the US car industry will be destroyed, or option B, the Chinese companies will be let into the US, but they have to produce the cars in the US. Now, this seems to be there is a connection. So if the US thinks that with its 4 times cheaper energy, it has no chance against Chinese electrical cars, then just you can have an estimation, what about hydrogen? Basically, that's my view on it.
Well, every technology is expensive at the beginning, so it's I think question of how far it can go. But I'm not an expert in that.
Yes. I'm going to answer for 2 questions very shortly. So as for the hydrogen, I think that this is still stardust. Because I think it's a technology is very, very costly, I think. So I don't know that what's the plan of coming from the European Union in terms of the hydrogen and the hydrogen industry, but I think that this is now a dream, I think. Second one, the MVM, more exactly Synergy and the Gazprom contract. Yes, because the MVM and the Synergy agreed in 2021 for long-term contract about the gas trading, and I don't know yet what will happen at the Ukrainian entry point in Hungary, because I think, and as I see that this is maybe rather a chicken game with the Ukrainian and the Russian, and so I think that we saw this game one time in 2029. Yes. So and finally there was an agreement between the Russian and the Ukrainian partners. So I don't know I don't know yet what will happen. But I think that if the Ukrainian government will close this pipeline, I think towards to Europe, I think that this is not exactly a Hungarian problem, because I think that through the Turkish stream, I think that all of the volumes can come to Hungary. So I think that is it absolutely okay. But I don't know what will happen in Slovakia or maybe in Austria or Czech Republic. So I think that so we will see.
So the Ukrainian transit issue, very shortly, what the Ukrainians say that they don't want to have any contractual relations with the Russians. They will offer short-term capacity for transit after 24. This is what they say now. I don't know what is going to happen. If this happens, so if they don't want to have any legal arrangement with Russia, then what is expected if you want to use the Ukrainian network, European companies will have to contract at the Russian-Ukrainian border natural gas, buy it from the Russians, also contract the Ukrainian transit capacity, where the transit fees will be set unilaterally by the Ukrainians. We don't know how much it will cost. And you can make short-term capacity allocations. Short-term, what does it mean? It might be up to 1 year, I think. As for the long-term contract, the Gazprom has a legal obligation to deliver it to the Hungarian border or to Baumgarten. So it's bad for the Gazprom, then they have to find a way how to do that from the legal point of view. For the others, of course, so one of the biggest still existing advantage of the Russians, of Gazprom, that they deliver it to the national borders, the gas. If you want to buy LNG, well, you have a number of options. You can go to a trading house and do the same to the national border. It costs huge money. Or you buy it somewhere, you deliver it to a European port, then you contract the transit capacity for a while, for short term, for medium term, whatever. So this is a major liability. So for a Hungarian company, if it's MVM, this is not very attractive to have a long-term capacity allocation on the Ukrainian system and a separate contract with the Gazprom, because what happens if one of those doesn't work? So they cannot do anything. So the current arrangement with the Gazprom is better, that they deliver it to the national border. So I can imagine that Hungarian gas companies will use the Ukrainian system for short-term allocations if it's the only way available with the Gazprom, still buying gas, Russian gas through Ukraine, but not in a longer-term arrangement. That's it. And there are a number of question marks. For hydrogen, just very shortly, I think the economics very much depends how you use that hydrogen. So you can already use it in the industry. This is another story when you use it for storage, when you use it for road traffic. I think the economics are rather different. In some cases, I definitely see the potential. In some cases, I have question marks, and I definitely would exclude long-range, long-distance transit of hydrogen and massive scale. So personally, I don't believe that it is going to happen. That for hundreds of kilometers, this hydrogen will be delivered. So it is going to be something very local. Locally produced, locally used.
Thank you. Just very briefly on the hydrogen issue or the hydrogen question. I myself believe that it is in the innovation phase, of course. So, and I believe that innovation is very important for, in the life of humanity, so to say. So I am fully backing every kind of innovation in the research phase. Nevertheless, in the application phase, we need to take a closer look whether hydrogen today or 5 years from now or a decade from now really means an alternative. Because, of course, firing or using otherwise hydrogen, if it is an alternative, it means, of course, more security and more independence. Nevertheless, being an alternative doesn't only mean the physical reality, but also the financial reality. So whether it is cost effective to using hydrogen, then it can really improve the situation of landlocked countries, among others Hungary, and that would be good. Today, I don't see yet whether we are there, but still at the innovation phase, it really, I believe, worth the efforts, worth the money to research what are the potentials within the using of hydrogen. Thanks.
Let me comment. Sure. Just 2 comments. So regarding the landlocked one, Switzerland is a landlocked country but doesn't seem to moan about it all the time. Anyhow, regarding hydrogen, you can see the desperation of regarding hydrogen usage on that. A couple of months ago, the German economic and climate minister Robert Habeck traveled to Algeria, and the plan is, well, there is maybe a planned plan to use Algerian gas to produce hydrogen, and then move that hydrogen through the Mediterranean Sea, up to the Alps, through the Alps, and then to the industrial complexes of Bayern. So if you think about it, how realistic this sounds at all. But even to come to this idea that this can be a solution, you can understand that there is some really serious, let's say, risks that Germany understands about the price of hydrogen. So I mean, you wouldn't need Algerian gas if hydrogen would be economical.
Well, on this note, I would like to thank everybody, each of our speakers in this panel, and please give them a big applause. And well, I hope to see you at our other events of Oeconomus, maybe in the next months, in the next weeks. Thank you very much.